Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Kartik Bhattamash ki jai.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 3, The Lord's Pastimes out of Vrindavan, text number 16. Evam sanchintya bhagavan swaraje stapya dharmajam nandayam asha surihita sadhunam varma darshayam evam sanchintya bhagavan swaraje stapya dharmajam nandayam asha surihita sadhunam varma darshayam evam thus sanchintya thinking within himself Bhagavan the personality of Godhead Swaraje in his own kingdom Shtapya installing Dharmajam Maharaj Yudhisthira Nandayam Asha gladdening Suridha the friends Sadhunam of the saints Dharma the path Darshayam by indicating. Please repeat. Lord Sri Krishna thus thinking to himself established Maharaj Yudhisthira in the position of supreme control of the world in order to show the ideal of administration on the path of piety. Lord Sri Krishna was thinking to himself, established Maharaj Yudhisthira in the position of supreme control of the world in order to show the ideal of administration on the path of piety. This verse doesn't have purpose, so we will read text number 17. Tarayam drikta puro vamsha sadhu abhimanyuna savai drauni astra sampushta punar bhagavata drita. Translation. The embryo of Kuru's descendant, begotten by the great hero Abhimanyu in the womb of Uttara, his wife, was burned by the weapon of the son of Drona, but later he was again protected by the Lord. Please repeat. The embryo of Puru's descendant, begotten by the great hero Abhimanyu, in the womb of Uttara, his wife, was burned by the weapon of the son of Drona. But later he was again protected by the Lord. Purport by Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. The embryonic body of Parikshit which was information after Uttara's pregnancy by Abhimanyu, the great hero, was burned by the Brahmastra of Ashwatthama. But a second body was given by the Lord within the womb, and thus the descendant of Puru was saved. This incident is a direct proof that the body and the living entity, the spiritual spark, are different, When the living entity takes shelter in the womb of a woman through the injection of the semen of a man, there is an emulsification of the man's and women's discharges. And thus, a body is formed the size of a pea, gradually developing into a complete body. But if the developing embryo is destroyed in some way or other, the living entity has to take shelter in another body or in the womb of another woman. The particular living entity who was selected to be the descendant of Maharaj Puru, or the Pandavas, was not an ordinary living entity, and by the superior will of the Lord, he was destined to be successor to Maharaj Yudhishthira. Therefore, when Ashwatthama destroyed the embryo of Maharaj Parikshit, the Lord, by his own internal potency, entered into the womb of Uttara by his plenary portion, just to give audience to the would-be Maharaj Parikshit, who was in great danger. By his appearance within the womb, the Lord encouraged the child and gave him complete protection in a new body by his omnipotency. By his power of omnipresence, he was present both inside and outside of Uttara and other members of the Pandava family. Om Ajnanati Vinandasya Gnananandam Sarapana Chakshuru Militam Dhyana Tasmai Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Vittale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Gauravani Pachaline Visesha Sanghavani Pastitya Vishatarine. Lord Sri Krishna, thus thinking to himself, established Maharaj Yudhishthira in the position of supreme control of the world in order to show the ideal of administration on the path of piety. The embryo of Puru's descendant, begotten by the great hero Abhimanyu in the womb of Uttara, his wife, was burnt by the weapon of the son of Drona. But later, he was again protected by the Lord. So this chapter, the Lord's pastimes out of Vrindavan, it's a summary of Krishna's pastimes. The previous chapter, remembering Krishna, it gives a summary of Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, and now we have Mathura and Dwaraka pastimes in this chapter. So, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains that there are three aspects in the process of devotional service that we are going to become familiar, now study, and realize. And these are Sambandha, which explains the foundation of our philosophy, our identity, and the source of all of us and everything. And what's the connection between these two? Sambandha. And then we have Abhideya, or the process by which we can apply, we can implement in our life this knowledge. How do we live in order for this knowledge to become a reality? And then we have Prayoyana. Prayoyana is the result, what we get. Lord Chaitanya explained that this is the result of human life, prema pumarta maham. There's nothing greater than achieving love of God. Therefore, the Bhagavatam presents this fruit, igama kalpa, taravardhanitam phalam, that this is the fruit of the Vedic literature. This is the conclusion of the Vedic literature. So therefore, it's considered the highest literature, the highest text in our mind. So, the Bhagavatam presents these three things, as we can find in very succinct form in the Bhagavad Gita. There are parts where we can sometimes find the word or or the concept that Krishna is presenting throughout his sequence of instructions to Arjuna. And then this is manifested, broadened in the Srimad Bhagavatam through the examples of the devotees. In Bhagavatam there are 10 topics, as explained in the second canto. And in this section of this chapter, one of these topics is referred to, and it's Poshana. Poshana means the protection of the Lord. The sequence of the Bhagavatam cantos, it's creation, secondary creation, different things like that. But eventually, the protection of the Lord is presented in the sixth canto, particularly when Adalila comes onto stage, and then he commits some mistakes, and Krishna gives him another second chance. There's a book that the VBT put out with the teachings of Srila Prabhupada around that section of the Bhagavatam, the second chance. I don't know if it's available here, but it was a hit at some point. So in this case, we also are hearing about who are the characters that the verses are referring to. Yeah, those are the second characters. The main two in these two verses, 16 and 17. In 16 is King who? Yudhishthira. Good. And 17 is? Parikshit Maharaj. Alright. So these two devotees are mentioned in this verse. This is the central figure, shall we say, after Krishna. So in one, text 16, Yudhishthira Maharaj is established by Lord Krishna in the position of supreme control of the world. Samrat, that's the king of everything, the controller, the emperor. One time there was a kirtan going on, I don't know if it was here in Australia, I think it was. And Madhudvisha at that time, Maharaj was leading the kirtan. So Prabhupada liked him very much, as many of you could know. And then he said, "You are Kirtan Samrat." He didn't know what Samrat meant. But then Prabhupada explained, the emperor of Kirtan, you call him like Samrat. So, Yudhishthira Maharaj was enthroned by the Lord himself. This is a Vedic principle. The king represents Krishna, as it is explained in Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter, right? Ordinances of the Absolute. I am the king, and I am the monarch. So Krishna is presented as the topmost of everything. That's the ordinances. The best of the best, that's Krishna. Described in the 10th chapter. But most importantly, and as Prabhupada presents in his purport to text 17, is Krishna favoring his devotees. That's the topic that this purport is presenting. Krishna is impartial, right? And Prabhupada gives the example of the rain. Right? I think 6 or 7 days we're supposed to have rainy days. Right? That's the forecast. So the rain doesn't discriminate. The rain falls on the grass, it also falls on the rocks, on the, buildings and whatever. So in the same way, Prabhupada says that the mercy is there for everyone. However, the question may be brought up that how come then Krishna gives particular or special mercy to the devotees? Why? And Prabhupada, you can see how he gets fired up. I was giving some classes this morning, and he gets and says, no, he is open. He's generous to everyone, but obviously with those who are more inclined to him, then he, just like a father, he may give his mercy to everyone, but those sons or daughters of that person will definitely receive much more mercy if they are favorable. Right? That's the natural thing. So in the same way, Krishna is a person. Therefore, those who are more favorable to him become more favored by him. That's the formula. So the purpose of these narrations in Bhagavatam, because as the Puranas explain, the Bhagavatam has a sequence, and then, as explained in the beginning of the second canto, when we approach the Lord, Prabhu always mentioned it, we shouldn't see the face directly of the deity. Right? That's described in the first chapters of the second canto. And we should look at the feet. Right? It's always the feet. Right? If actually you see the translation of the Sri Guru Bandhana, it's like a physiology of the spiritual master, the feet, the mouth, the eyes, like that. Very important. Form, person. So in the same way the Puranas explain that the different cantos of the Bhagavatam represent different parts of the Lord. And the 10th canto is the face. Right? So, and Prabhupada from the very beginning in the first canto, he says that we can see Krishna in the pages of Bhagavatam face to face. Right? If we listen attentively. So in these two verses, these great devotees, Yudhishthira Maharaj was very much favored by the Lord. Imagine the Lord himself is, placing him on the throne. And we have Parikshit Maharaj, who was attacked by the son of Drona, right? Ashokam, as mentioned in the first canto, is it 7th chapter? Right? 7th chapter of the first canto. So the story of this great devotee who becomes a central figure in the narration of Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam is narrated in pairs, shall we say, in different instances. Who remembers some of those conversations? Where are the instances where the Bhagavatam is narrated? Naimisharanya. Okay, Sutta Goswami and the sages. Shamana Rishi was leading the sages. So that's one. Another one? Sukadeva Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. That's another one. There are others. Uddhava? Yeah, the 11th canto, Uddhava Gita. Yeah, Krishna to Uddhava. Any others?
Narada and Yudhishthira Maharaj.
Narada Yudhishthira Maharaj, yes. Maitreya. Yeah, several times the Bhagavatams narrated. And also the Lord gives the Bhagavatam in essence. It's called Chatushloki in the second canto. What is it? The 9th chapter? Somewhere around there? Yeah. 9th chapter. 4 verses. Ahameva Savake. Krishna explains in essence, this is Bhagavatam, like a seed. Just like the Bhagavad Gita, we find the Chatushloki, right? The 4 essential verses. Why? Because the essence of the Bhagavad philosophy is presented there. Not only that, but also the fact that Bhakti and Bhagavan can only be manifested through a devotee. And therefore, when we are hearing about these passages of the Lord outside of Vrindavan, in Mathura and Dwarka, it appears that actually the main narration is about the devotees, right? Because that's the medium by which the Lord is manifested. And we all are here because the Lord has somehow manifested His mercy to us in some way, right? Isn't it? Through the devotees. Right? That's the process. We are here because somebody, one devotee, many years ago, happened to think, inspired by the Lord, let me go out and distribute books. I don't know how all of you came, but most devotees do come because of books. Or, what else? Prasadam, Harinam. I know there are many stories around that, interesting ways that the devotees were attracted. I think there was, I forgot the name of the devotee. Famous, I don't know, it was Mayasaki. Anyway, there was one devotee who had an apartment, who rented an apartment. And in that apartment, Prabhupada had visited. I forgot this details of this story, a long time. And since that person lived in that apartment, became somewhat inspired, and started looking for devotees of Prabhupada, disciple. And eventually met the devotees, and went on. So one time talking to one devotee, he said, I live in this place. And then the devotee was like, oh, that's a place where Prabhupada used to live. He was in Canada, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, so the idea is that sometimes the devotees do show that special mercy. And here we are, because Krishna engaged someone to bring us to him. That's the idea. So, Parikshit Maharaj here is very blessed because he was attacked by Ashwatthama. And due to the prayers of his mother, who approached Krishna and told him to, protect me from this. But interestingly here, Prabhupada is explaining that actually the body was burned, right? The embryonic body of Parikshit was burned. And then Prabhupada always uses these opportunities to prove that this is the direct proof, he says, that the body and the living entity, the spiritual spark, are different. In the Bhagavad Gita, I think there are like 30 characteristics of 30 verses, I forgot, of the soul. And one of those descriptions is that the soul cannot be burned. Right? That's what he's referring to, Prabhupada's referring to that. So the soul cannot be burned, the body is burned, the soul cannot be burned. So Krishna, through his magic, mystical power, then he just gave Parikshit Maharaj another body. And then we have the famous, one of the main characters of the Bhagavatam. Now, in terms of the protection, Srila Prabhupada here explains that the protection of this particular living entity who was selected by the descendant to be the descendant of Maharaj Puru or the Pandavas was not an ordinary living entity. And by the superior will of the Lord, he was destined to be the successor of Maharaj Yudhishthira. So that's the connection. Parikshit Maharaj is the grandson of the Pandavas. Actually, not directly, and Parikshit Maharaj had Yudhishthira Maharaj as well. So the idea of Krishna protecting the embryo of Maharaj Parikshit by his internal potency, entering the womb of Tara by his plenary portion, that means Parama, just to give audience to the would-be Maharaj Parikshit, who was in great danger. So Krishna explains in the Gita several points that he will protect the devotee. Right? Who remembers where does Krishna says that? Or it doesn't have to be the exact quote, but more or less have a sense somewhere in the Gita. Krishna protects, yeah?
He tells Arjuna to declare both the mighty
But he never perishes. Right, okay. Any other part? Any other section? Krishna says that he will protect his devotees. Where else? Sarvadharma, Paritayana, Masuchaha. Don't worry. I will take care of you. So in different parts like that. There's a famous verse, it's in chapter 12, text number 7, where Krishna says, Teshaham samudhata. Samudra means ocean. We have here the ocean. Teshaham samudhata. That I will deliver you. Like, what do you call those? Lifeguards, right? The lifeguard runs, he jumps in, somebody's drowning, takes the person, drags him or her out, and saves their life. So, Prabhupada describes the past anecdote of Arjunacharya. Arjunacharya was a great devotee of the Lord who was commenting on the Bhagavad Gita. And because Krishna in the Gita, he uses the word aham. Sometimes he says aham. That means I, directly. What's that verse? 9:22. Where Krishna says, I will provide you what you are lacking, and I will maintain what you already have. Ananyas chintayantamam jena parupashite disham nityayuttanam yogashimam bahami aham. I will deliver. I will bring it to you. So when Arjunacharya Prabhupada tells the story, he was commenting, he was reading Bhagavad Gita. Then he thought, the Lord himself doing this? I mean, he's a Sanskrit expert, I guess. So this doesn't sound right? I will make it happen, maybe. So he sort of crossed that Mahani, and from what I heard from the experts, he wrote instead Karomi, like I will make it happen, or something like that. Mahani instead of Karomi instead of Mahani. Right? So what happens is that the Acharya, Arjunacharya, he goes, like Brahmins do, they go to the river to take bath and to do different things, and prayers and things. And then they were very, very poor. So at some point, the wife of Arjunacharya hears a knock on the door, and these two boys, beautiful boys, they were carrying this heavy load of goods. And they were bringing ghee, milk, grains, and all sorts of things, right? And generally Brahmins are very poor. Right? I think it's Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that it's self-imposed poverty. So they're always struggling with funds. I think in our movement, some of us, we had experienced that too. So Arjunacharya's wife was very surprised. How come these two boys bring so much when my husband and I were very poor? And then, I don't know, she was saying, there must be a mistake. This is not us, Now you have Amazon and then they go and deliver somewhere else. It's by mistake, sometimes that happens. They go to next door neighbor and then they leave whatever. And you have purchase. So she's saying, trying to convince them that, no, this is not the place. And then one of them says, no, you better take the goods, because he actually beat us, he caned us, forcing us to bring it, And then, it was Krishna that turned his back and he had a mark, like a bruise. If somebody canes you, usually with a stick, and you have a bruise. So then she was very confused because, my husband, my prabhu doesn't do those things. No, he's very angry. Anyway, they convince her. I have come across a couple of versions of that. But what Prabhupada says is that she was inviting them to come in, they didn't come in, they went quickly before the Acharya came. So when Arjunacharya came back, she was kind of upset, saying, how is it? More than anything, more than being happy for the goods that have been delivered to her place, she was upset because, her husband had beaten up these boys, and they were so beautiful, and she was glowing, and she was so ecstatic. And then he had the realization, Prabhupada tells how he was able to realize, oh, this is the Lord, because I doubted what he states in the Gita, and I have crossed. So, anyway, the idea is that sometimes we may doubt that the Lord himself will protect us, but that is his offer, that is his guarantee. I will do it. This is me doing it. He may utilize some devotee, but it's his will that we go back to him. You will come to me without any doubt. So the idea of these devotees being presented in the Bhagavatam is for us to strengthen our faith that Krishna is real. Krishna is a person. We may not realize him just yet in full, but he's definitely there. We can perceive him within our heart. We also can perceive him outside our heart. Like Prabhupada ends his purport here saying, this is quite interesting. He says, by his power of omnipresence, he was present both inside and outside of Uttara, that's Parikshit's mother, and all the members of the Pandava family. He was inside and outside. Like when we sing Nishinha prayers, right? Ito Nishinho, Parato Nishinho. That you are here and you are there. By here Nishinho, you are outside, and Hridaya Nishinho, you are in my heart. So you are everywhere. So when Hiranyakashipu asks Prahlad Maharaj, he says, where is your God? Where is your Bhagavan? Huh? Is he here? Is he there? He goes, yeah, he's everywhere. Is he here? In the pillar? Okay, I'm going to smash it then to see if it's true. So then Onishindev appears. So that's the prayer that we see Krishna everywhere. Krishna explains in the Gita, Jamam Pashati Sarvatra. That for that, you can see me everywhere. So how much can we see Krishna? We see Krishna beautifully decorated in the altar, right? Sometimes I remember when the first books in Spanish would be translated, not first books, but some of the new editions. And then what was the first thing that we will do? We'll go and see the pictures, right? Like kids. Oh, I can see the picture. Right? So sometimes we see him like that. But an advanced devotee is someone who's able to see Krishna despite the appearance of the circumstances around us. Right? If things are going well, the prasadam is amazing, and the kirtan and everything is fine, oh, this is Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada used to have that line, this is Krishna consciousness. But when things start getting a little sour, then we forget Krishna. Then it's his fault, her fault, these people, this temple, this yatra, ISKCON, the GBC, this one, the other. Then Krishna is gone. Right? So the interesting thing is to see Krishna in everything, in every circumstance. And that is an example. He saw Krishna despite the obstacles. He saw Krishna pulling the boat. You know, that when he shared that realization that he had this, he almost left his body, and then he had this sort of vision, realization. There are several stories also about that. That he saw Krishna was pulling the boat. Krishna and his incarnations. I was like, when we read 3rd chapter of 1st canto, all the incarnations are there. Some of the incarnations, all limited. And then Prabhupada could see that. And Prabhupada could see that when he was trying to preach in India, he didn't get much support. In fact, they were telling him not to do it. Right? And it's recorded, the letters are there, and the Prabhupada's description, etc. But then he saw, this is not a problem, this is rather an opportunity. Business people say that. When there's a problem, they don't see the problem, they see an opportunity. Let's sell this, let's solve that problem, let's sell that solution. So Prabhupada saw the obstacles that he was presented with as an opportunity. So here, Parikshit Maharaj is in big trouble, right? Because Ashwatthama has sent this brahmastra in his body, it's being burned. So Krishna gave him another chance, right? To show that this is what I do, this is portion, one of the items of the Bhagavatam. I protect my devotee. So the idea is for these examples to strengthen our conviction that Krishna takes care. Now, there's one thing, last thing, I invite you to think about this before we close. How does Krishna protect you? In which way he protects you? Protects us. Right? Sometimes, in thinking about this, sometimes we think that Krishna protects us in an external way. Right? Sometimes we get sick, we have an accident, we have some problem, whatever it is. We are in anxiety for whatever reasons. And then we think, oh, Krishna, please help me. Whether indirectly or directly, but Krishna, please save me. But we're not the body. Right? I don't know, whenever you get sick, or I get sick, I become very Krishna unconscious. Right? Very just conscious of the body. But we're not the body. So there's no real suffering. Do we realize that? We are not the body. Therefore, the suffering that we may experience are not us. It's the body. That's very theoretical. That's very Sankhya. So, in one sense, we can say that there's no suffering. Are you with me? Right? There's no suffering, right? Or is there suffering? The sadhus, the rishis. Is there suffering or not? Because we're always talking about suffering, suffering, suffering.
You perceive it, but perceiving it, not suffering.
Exactly, perceiving. Actually, the last verse of the Bhagavatam says, Sarva dukkha pranashana, that all unhappiness, all suffering is gone just by namami, just by doing this. That's it. It's gone. But what is the suffering? If we are not the body, and the body and the mind are those that suffer, so there's no suffering. Is that correct?
The body is suffering when you perceive it.
Okay.
But the soul...
So the soul doesn't suffer. Alright. So, if we take that, then what sort of protection is Krishna giving? Is it the body? Is it the true protection, the body? Yes? To conclude, we are in Kartik and we are singing these prayers of Satyavrata Muni, the Damodara Ashtaka. In that prayer, Satyavrata Maharaj, he requests bhakti. Right? Bhakti Bharam. Give me bhakti. Please. Lord Chaitanya also says, Nadanam Nayanam. I don't want anything. Just give me bhakti. That's a true protection. So I just wanted to conclude this saying because I was making some notes and hearing some things. And I thought, what is my concept of protection? What is protection to me? Give me a house. Give me help. Give me this, give me that. I pray that I'm going to have an accident. I pray that my family is healthy and all that. But is that the real protection? Is that the real thing that we're looking for? Because if the body's going to go anyway, everyone's going to go. Everybody's going to go. So are we really seeking the protection of Krishna through the process of bhakti? Can I have that? The Acharyas say, one drop of love. That is the highest protection. So let's not be conditioned, I'm talking to myself, let's not be conditioned just by the external, but rather the internal aspect of Krishna consciousness. Give me some bhakti. Please, give me some for your devotees, appreciation for your devotees. That's a true protection. Externally, you may give, you may take. That's okay. That's the prayer of the advanced devotees. Parikshit Maharaj, at the end of his life, what did he do? He went to look for a devotee. So I need that protection. He didn't say, save me from this flying snake that's coming. Huh? What's her name? Takshaka? Huh? It's coming. I'm dying. Save me. No. Talk to me about Krishna. Talk to me about Bhakti. Please, I have no more time. Time is up. That's the true protection. Any questions? Any points? Antaraj Srimad Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, Parikshit Maharaj,